Welcome to another edition of the Vikram Dev Mahapatra broadcast. And we are on a lovely Sunday with the Karnataka Assembly results out since yesterday. And there's been a complete shift in a momentum which has been there, which hadn't been questioned. And we had so many boisterous people from either sides talking a lot of assumptive talk about there's no question about it who's going to come. And even now there are enough people who would say 2024 is already a known result. There is no pretensions around who's going to come back to power or not come back to power. Those discussions will go on. But I think the point that we are missing, that the one fact that we can truly be very proud about and be a little joyous about is the fact that the voter called the shots. The voter had his pulse on matters where his pulse was getting irregular, and he punched the tab on the EVMs on the basis of what he was dealing on the ground. And it's a lesson not just about democracy, but it's a lesson about everything that we look around. I mean, you look at post-COVID, there is a kind of a filtration, there is a kind of a cascading effect of what is unnecessary, what is it that we don't need. And there is a certain clarity which is beginning to come about. And whether you look at film audiences, they are rejecting a lot of formula which used to work earlier. They are rejecting a lot of formats. They are getting experimentative with accepting a lot of material which is coming out. And again, there lies the problem with the Indian film industry. The moment they think that they have cracked the formula again. The buzz was about this new series which came out, Vikramaditya Motwani of Udaan fame, and I loved his movie Udaan, and the couple of movies which he had made earlier about Jubilee. Honestly, I just watched the first episode. Yes, we are doing a better job when we are picking on a different period in the authentic manner in which we are presenting. But I think the problem with technology is it also takes away that little rusty, rugged, dark nature of things, the way they existed during that time. And somewhere, I'm not a big fan of things very shiny on a period film. It has to stand out. It needs to have that good old Bombay feel. But coming back to what we were discussing, we are talking about the voter. And somewhere, whether we speak about the power games which go on in Raisina Hill, or the very well designed Lutyens Delhi and our constitution, there are few things which undeniably, in the perfections that we exist, still hold true, which is, at the end of the day, if you vote for change, it is going to change. That is, if you vote. The trouble is, as I shared in the last chat we had, 72% of Karnataka voted. While if you look at, that's the state average, but if you look at urban Bangalore, it was at 54%, and it's been this state of affairs since a couple of elections there. So, it's not about, somebody was telling me that, the intellectuals will just sit in the armchairs and not vote. And I was talking of the fact that India's reached this place where you can't brand anybody as an intellectual. In fact, our scriptures have taught us anybody with a life experience is an intellect. Is an intellect with his experience. And the rural folks have shown the needle in the places where it needs to be. And it augurs well for the bigger election, which is going to be next year. So it's going to make both the parties work. But it also, again, makes somebody sitting in a living room think of an alternate party which has pretty much everything systemically right in the manner in which they will work, they will select their leaders on the ground as well as in the Houses of Parliament, and go out and connect with people. Even in this age of social media where you pretty much had a David versus Goliath election, where somebody with all the machinery, all the money, with the biggest orators came out on the biggest road shows. But at the end of the day, what mattered was, what was the story the people on the ground really wanted to speak about? They wanted to hear what is the vision that they were really seeking. And it brings it back, saying that in our country, technology can come, we can have AI, but it can never technologically crack open anybody's heart, soul and mind. It will never ever. So if you go back the traditional way, whether you run a business, whether you're running a political party, or whether you're trying to become a star of repute, what matters is a tiny little organization with no funding in Karnataka. A Kannada newsletter got the exit polls right. The India Today did, but they got it right, and they were nobodies. And it proves the point that in our world, the good old broom work, the old school, it's not even the old school, it is the groundwork which really built that fantastic, effective election machinery for the BJP. And there was a similar structure which brought about the national movement and independence, and a certain national party was formed and tried to work through the decades. They made, each of them made huge blunders, but until they don't connect back to the ground as to why are they here, well, it will be temporary. Temporary could be 10 years maybe. So it's a good wake-up call, and I think it augurs well, but it also augurs really well that there is space for a new face or a new phase or a new party which can show you everything that is missing out in our system and create it instantly. If we can have Insta Reels and we can have followers instantly today, it won't take much time to collaborate, to build consensus, to have that clarity, to respond and create a better neighborhood around. Likewise, I think everything is going viral. If you look at possibly IPL, we had two great knocks by Surya Kumar Yadav and Yashasvi Jaiswal. And the other day, the young man from Punjab, Prabh Singh, I think, played a stunner of a knock. So there is, I think IPL is telling us that this league needs to go international even more. Our national, international games are not bringing about the quality which now exists through the ranks in India. There could be India A, B, C, D teams, and even if they played against each other with a mix of international players, it could be a more attractive league. So maybe it's about time for the world body, for the BCCI, to evaluate and look at, I mean, it is unfair for a more than 1 billion people, where there's so much talent around that only 11 people get to an international level. Well, America had that issue, even Europe had that issue, and they created the big club culture, which runs so beautifully and looks after I don't know how many more families, and is far more attractive than the international leagues which existed prior. So it's time to move on, and it's also today George Lucas, the man who made Star Wars. It's quite a story as to how he landed up making Star Wars. Go and Google and follow that story about George Lucas. Cate Blanchett, the great Australian actress, how did she build that great versatile repertoire across genres, across geographies, in all sorts of platforms that she acted: stage, documentaries, cinema. It's her birthday, and we had Harvey Keitel's birthday yesterday, the founder member of the Big Bad Guys Club, which started with Mean Streets and Taxi Driver. It just continued through with close to around 11 movies with Scorsese and De Niro. So that's all for this lovely Sunday. August well, get onto the ground, do the hard, I wouldn't say hard, but there is no shortcut as the voter passed on this message, as the audiences are passing on this message, as the batsmen are passing on this message. So that's the story from Vikram Dev Mahapatra today. And just a reminder, do not follow me, do not like me, do not refer me until it's absolutely compelling. Let's keep it very simple, and I'll see you another day.